Our first reptile today is this beautiful snake. Not only does he have an intricate color pattern on the snake, but we've created a stained glass effect behind him. Here's what you'll need. I've used a black mat. I have cardstock in 3 different colors or construction paper, transfer paper, and then I'm using markers that have a cutter inside, or you could use a marker and scissors. On my basics, I've got a disappearing glue stick, I have pencil, my scissors, and my ruler. So let's get started. The first thing we have is we've got our pattern, which is on the website, and I've printed it out, and then I'm going to go over it with a dark line or pencil just so I can see it. Then I'm going to take my first sheet of construction paper, and I've got yellow. I lay down my transfer paper, then lay my pattern on top, and then I'll take a pencil and trace around each of the edges. And when I trace along each edge, you lift it up, you're going to see that I've got the pattern all traced underneath, and that way you'll be able to see it on your yellow paper. So I'll set that aside. Now the next step is that I'm using a marker that has a cutter inside, but before you press that cutter down, it just works as a marker. So I'm going to go across all of the lines in my snake. What I want to do is create a kind of stained glass effect. And so stained glass usually has that leading in between, which is often black. So that's why I'm going around on these colors. So I transfer all the way around until I have a nice thick black line along the entire snake. And I've got one all completed here. Now the next step is I want to add my detail. And on the snake that I've chosen, you can do your research and pick your favorite snake. He has a black head, and then he's got a pattern of alternating yellow, black, and red sections. So I'm going to color in the black first. And I'm using the point of the marker, and again I haven't activated that pen yet, or the cutter yet. And then I'm going to take my red, and I'll do another section. And I'd go around the entire snake until he kind of looks like this. So now I've got my pattern. Now the next thing I want to do is cut him out. To do that, I'm going to activate the cutter. To activate the cutter, I'm going to push it straight down at a 90-degree angle and pull it toward me. And the blade is now in place. You can see that cut. Then I'm going to go around the entire snake. And what the neat thing is because there's a marker and the blade, I'm creating a thicker border. So if you can see there, I'm cutting across. So I'm going to go around the entire snake until I've cut him entirely out. You can see that. And I've got one that's all cut here. So now we've got our snake cut. Now the next thing I want to do is to take my ruler and my gold marker. Let's make sure that this is activated. So I've got my blade cutting through. And I've taken my snake that's all cut out, and I'm going to lay my ruler down at 1-inch increments, which helps because I'm on a mat. I've already started cutting. I'll lay this down and go along the snake. I'll lift that up. And then what I've done is I've made cuts right along so that it's into 1-inch increments. Now to make sure I keep my pieces, I'm going to number them as I go along. So I'll push that to the side, and I've got my pieces here. So I've got number 1, 2, and all the way across. Let's make sure I've got these all lined up. And let's turn that one the right direction. Okay, so my snake pieces are set up. Now the next thing I want to do is to take my paper, and let me slide that up so I have a little bit more room to work. And I'm going to do the same thing and cut the stained glass effect. So what I've done is divide this into 4 rectangles and then divided each one. So this is an 8.5 by 11, so half of 11 is 5.5, so I made a mark here. 8.5, half of this is 4.25. And then I've made my cuts, and then I've also cut across here. So I'll cut one from angle to angle. And again, drawing at a 90-degree angle and pulling it towards me. And that'll pop off. So now I have my border, and I'd continue on with that. Then I'm going to take my green paper, take my glue, and glue these back on, leaving that little bit of space. Of course, you take the time to glue these nice and carefully so that they're all perfectly adhered. And I'm using this disappearing ink so that none of my, or disappearing glue so nothing shows. So I'd go back, and I have one here that's all done. Take this one, let's move that out of the way. And then I'm going to put my snake back down, putting the pieces in order, gluing them one down at a time, and working all the way across. Once that's all completed, then I glue my mat on top, and if you look at the finished one, then I have a finished snake with this beautiful stained glass effect.